Hello, Andy. It's been a minute, my old friend.
Hey, brother. I need to go by and visit you. I just don't know what your timing's like in the mornings, because I want to go over and walk around what you're doing.
Oh, over at Peach Hill?
Yeah, and you have a lot of interesting products too. I want to check them out and see what I can use. I don't want to be reinventing the wheel, If you have a good wheel, I want to use it. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a bunch of very concentrated fish brew here in Oxnard. And then I've got probably at least a dozen ingredient piles up at Peach Hill.
Yeah, I've been sending people there.
Yeah, nice. So it depends on what they're looking for as to what I'll blend together for them. I'm gearing up to do an 80-yard pile once I get the
80-yard pile. That is cool.
Yeah, because I need volume, and so I've got all these little ingredient piles that I'll be mixing together for that, and then restarting more ingredient piles. So been a little crazy up there, but yeah, definitely, I'd love to have you come up there. I'm up there every morning. I leave here around 8. I get there at 8:30, and then I'm up there till about noon, and then I head back to Oxnard and take care of other stuff in the afternoon.
I tell you what, before taking my early morning walk, which I do that, I go to Nicholas Beach and I walk up 2 miles. I'm there at 7:00. What time are you over at the Peach Tree?
About 8:30, I'm there.
Cool. So why don't you text me like a little schedule, and I'll figure out one of those days I'll just start going there.
Yeah.
And do you have all your products at home, or do I have to go online to get them?
So I'm rebuilding my website as we speak so that eventually you'll be able to purchase product on it. That was something that I hadn't done yet. So that's not quite ready. It's probably going to be, I don't know, probably a little bit while longer before that's up and running. But for now, it's just, you need something, you call me, I'll ship it to you, or you can come pick it up.
I go by I was there just the other day with Michelle. We went right by there. She's moving into Ojai, so she goes down that road where you live, right by there.
Okay.
Leighton lives down there. She wants to meet you. I think what we're going to do, we're going to have a party, her getting out of there, and so you're one of the people we're going to invite.
Nice.
We shipped Ken on the plane over.
There you go.
But I've been really, I have a store here and everything. I'm on PCH. I'm doing my worm juice and a bunch of other stuff, just keeping busy. And
nice.
It's been a really weird. Last year was an incredibly weird year. This year is the weirdest year I've ever been here, ever. I mean, I worked one day in January, one day in February, one day in March. It's like, holy cow, because it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. Did I mention that it rained? So what do you want to talk about today? Because I answer people's questions. I'm happy to be there for them like that. Yellow skunk forms good day. Yellow skunk. Yellow skunk farms. Oh, cool. I like that name, Yellow Skunk Farms. Hey, brother, Yellow Skunk Park, good day. And he sounds a little Australian, doesn't he?
I don't know where he's from. I mean, you know what I used to do that was a lot of fun was have the listeners say where they're from so that we knew. I mean, sometimes we would get, like, I don't know, 25, 30 different countries.
Yeah. I like that. And I'm getting ready to do online workshops, and it's free to anybody who wants to get in on it. I'm starting with the organic garden clubs here in California. Tomorrow I'm going to go to the local organic garden club in Ventura. You should, if you'd like to be a guest, I could arrange that for you so you can talk to people.
When is it?
Well, it's on Tuesday nights, like tomorrow. I think this is the last Tuesday of the month. I don't know, but I can talk to the lady that runs it. She can send you an invitation. And they would love this stuff, because when I talk, they have no idea what I'm talking about half the time. Yeah, but I have a hand problem. Yeah, but I have Snell. Yeah. And it's like, you're not getting it, are you?
Look at that. They're already replying. We're all over.
That's the Ozarks. What's the other one? Somebody said Pennsylvania?
Yeah, a couple of VAs, one in Aussie.
Alberta. I know somebody's in Alberta, Canada. I know that, right? I know who's out in Virginia. Yeah, Virginia. So it's really cool that I really love being able to talk to people all around the world. We're all on one planet, right? We all have the same problem, or rather, the soil issues. You know, where is Kenyan Yan? Hey Billy, where is that? Kenyan Yan.
That's Canada. Yes, it's just a different. It's like calling us Canucks up here, you know.
Okay, gee whiz.
That does.
So I've been doing a bunch of different columns, and so what I do is I answer people's questions, and you'll be surprised how many people are saying, "I have an ant problem, a massive ant problem. What should I do? What can I do to kill the ants?" And I refer them to this movie called Ants, where in the beginning they have ants, and they turn out to be giant ants because they're radioactive, and it got real big. And in the end, they killed everything. They blew up the city, blew up their countryside. The ants are still there.
You know what's crazy is a lot of people don't understand that ants and termites are enemies, and if you wipe out your ants, you're going to get termites like crazy.
Exactly right. And especially the subterranean ants, because they're in the ground and they inhabit the same place. The ants are constantly attacking the termites and taking away their babies and their food and all this stuff. And which would you rather have?
Right. And that's the thing, is the compounds that they use to fumigate your house out here is fucking horrifying. It's just short of a forever chemical, a PFAS.
And what's really weird about it, and I was talking about termite control, natural termite control for years. Oh yeah, I've been listening to Leighton for years. I just said for years at the same time that for years came up. And so I was telling people, did you know? So you see a house that's tented, right, in the neighborhood. Every house in that neighborhood is getting it through the pipes over to their house. Think about that. It's in the pipes. It's in the water pipe. It backs up to all the houses that's on the same water line, which is everybody in that neighborhood. That is ridiculous.
Dude, one of my neighbors got tented, and I went out there in the morning, and I fucking couldn't breathe, and I had shortness of breath for like 2 days after that. Like I could smell it. It was just so strong. I'm like, holy shit. And then I looked over the fence, and they had just tented the house the day before, and I hadn't noticed it. So
there was a guy that broke into a tented house. He died from exposure. They came, they found this guy on the floor. It's okay, we're done with the tenting. Let's go. Oh, no, there he was. He had broken in, and like, what are you thinking about, right? When you break into a tented house, that's for termites control.
Yeah, crazy. People they just
when
don't.
I started talking about termite control, I always keyed into the soil. Now there's drywood termites and subterranean termites. The drywood are not really connected to the ground, but they still have a relationship. Everything has a relationship to the soil, whether they're separated or not. But that's where they start. And it's always been my thing to say, look, like for example, what's happening now, that because all this rain is going on here, and it's just compounded the problem more and more because people are getting diseases or stuff. But what's happening is the ants are going nuts. What normally controls the ants is not there. And the name of this particular column is you do not have an ant problem, you have a soil problem. And that's what they have to key in. And they don't get it. They said, yeah, well, what do we do to the soil immediately to control the ants? And it's like, no, there's a short-term and long-term solution. It always has been. The long-term solution is you deal with the law of cause and effect. So the cause is the destruction of the biology in the soil. The effects would be, name it, ants, snails, even gophers. So if you have a high biological soil, you're not going to have a gopher problem or an ant problem or a snail problem. And they don't get that. They just do not get it. And they keep calling me. I come and spray for the ants. So I tell them, fine, I'm going to spray. I spray my liquid. I spray my biology to control the ants. I spray it where they're normally running around. They do not like that. But it does not solve their problem. These people, for example, city water kills everything.
Yep.
And then on top of that, I don't know if you saw the show where we had a round table we were invited. Ken and I were invited on this round table, and we were talking about forever chemicals. And not even forever chemicals, but nanoplastic. And guess what? They're in the water, in the city water, and everything you drink. A friend of mine likes to go to restaurants, and she says, "Why don't you, just have water?" I go, "Oh, I don't." So I asked, like, I do have a filtration system for your water. He's like, we make it cold for you. What do you want? It's like, yeah, it's really, really super bad. I mean, I don't go out anymore, even to organic places that are supposed to be organic. They have, you ask them, you filtering out your water? No. Then how can I be eating? And it's really weird because I've gone through so many different quotes. Like there's one place I went to is vegan, right? Vegetarian. Nothing's organic in there.
It's crazy.
So they confuse the public. It isn't healthy. It's all organic. It's all vegan. It's all plant-based. And you look at it and you go, but none of it's organic. So you're getting all the chemicals in it. So, what I don't understand. To me, it's like mind-boggling because the people are so confused now. Okay, natural. So you see a lot of things that says it's natural. Well, radiation is natural. So lots of other chemicals that they use are quote natural. So it does, and natural could still have pesticides and chemicals in it. It's no control over that. Certified organic, at least that they're not using the pesticides and the chemicals and the fertilizers. And that's what's supposed to be a certified product. It's not supposed to have it, but even then, you're still not getting nutrition. There's no nutrition in there because they're not right. There's nothing. So I was talking to this farmer. So what do you do? And, I went to a farmer's market. The guy says, we're organic, but we can't afford the certification process, so we're not going to do it. It's okay. So tell me what you're doing. What are you doing for your soil? Oh, nothing. It has a good look. It's nice and dark soil. We're not doing anything to it. It's fine. Well, their bricks reading on their fruit was like,
yep.
I said, see this? Look at the bricks. I said, what is that? I don't believe that. What is this gadget is telling me my fruit's no good? I told him, I tried to explain to him. I think he knew, but he didn't run into anybody. He's never met me before. But I would tell him, I think my refractometer with me when I go shopping, especially in the farmer's market. I say, can I test it? And it's like, so I tell the guy, which would you rather eat? This one with the 20 refractometer bricks reading, or that one with a 5 or a 6 refractometer reading? Which would you eat?
I wouldn't eat anything less than 12.
And I was telling people, I was in a health food place just the other day. It says conventional on one side and organic on the other side. And I go, so this is a health food place? People come in and think conventional is fine because it's a health food place and they will buy the chemical. I'm not giving you the name of the store, but it's WF, if you know what I mean. Oh, right? Oh, right?
You mean whole paycheck?
Yeah, that place, right. It's like, so conventional or organic? And it's like,
well, I'll be honest with you, Andy. Even in the organic farm industry, even if you are certified, there's no teeth. Nobody comes out to inspect it. It's all done by you. You have to verify it.
Yeah.
So you don't know what the hell you're getting. That's why. Yeah, you got to know your farmer and know his product.
It comes down to know who's growing it, and ideally you should grow it yourself. I mean, in my garden, I know what I put into it, and even now, like just starting my garden, there's no biology in the soil here. There's literally nothing, so it doesn't automatically come back. So any food I grow into it is not going to be rich in heavy nutrients. Nutrients, right? It's because there's no way for it to get it in there. And so I have to, I can tell because you can tell by I do a refractometer reading on the carrot, for example, that I grew. It's a 4. It's a 4. It's like, there's nothing I can do about it until I get the biology back in shape. Like I was telling Ken, more roots in the ground, more roots in the ground. And so I have a little gopher running around here. The gopher chews up. This is ridiculous. What's wrong with you? I'm going, holy cow, right? Well, I'd love to get a chipper myself. Oh, people talk about chipper.
So if you only have one gopher out here, you're probably pretty lucky.
Yeah. It backs up to massive amounts of gophers. I told myself I will not kill. Like Captain Kirk says, we're not going to kill today. We're just not going to kill today, you know. And I'm not going to go that route. I did put a wire all the way 3 foot down, all the way around the place. They're still coming across somehow. So I think it's a ground squirrel, not a gopher. I've never seen a gopher get up and run over and come back in again. Do you think they do that? No, I think it's a ground squirrel.
No, a gopher can come above ground and cruise around.
Yeah.
Yeah, my neighbor's cat caught a couple of them, which I was really happy about because I back up. You know where I live. Like I could spit and hit my neighbor's houses all the way around.
Yeah.
So if one neighbor gets them, it's like we all got them. They just come over the fence or under the fence. And then they'll hang out here for a little while, but they usually leave because I've applied so many compost extracts over the years that they just don't like it here.
No, they don't like it. I have a cat. She doesn't know what to do with it. She brought a gopher home. Why are you doing it? I don't know what you're doing it. I'm going, chew it, eat it. You know, I don't know what you're doing. She brings home lizards. There's not a lizard with a tail on my property. Not a lizard with a tail on my property.
She gets them all, huh?
She gets them all. The lizards are walking. I'm not going to go with her. Just stop doing that. But it's a process, and I'm having fun having a garden again. I just have to. I can't make compost over here, so I'm going to have to start buying some good. Do you guys sell by the bags over there, or does it have to be by the truckload?
We can do whatever you need to do. I mean, we can put it in buckets and bags. The bags are going to be kind of heavy for you, so maybe like buckets is better. Rob has a bagging line. It's just kind of a tricky little piece of equipment. You really got to know what you're doing.
To bag things up.
Yeah, he's got like 3 different size bags, but all the bags are plastic with holes in them, and I hate them. Yeah, I actually found this really, really good paper bag. It's made from recyclable newspapers. There is a coating on the inside, which I'm not 100% clear on what exactly it is, and they keep selling me it's proprietary knowledge. So, but what I did do is I put my compost in it. I didn't seal the bag. I just rolled the top up. And I kept it in my garage for about 9 months. And if you open it up and stick your hand in there and pull out a soil or pull out the compost, it smells amazing and all the microbes are intact. So I know that it will be in the future a bag that I plan to use because of the fact that it allows gas to escape.
What kind of bag is it again?
It's this white bag. I have a company that I could send you the information on. But I tried probably 3 or 4 of their different products.
Is it a weave?
Yeah, something weird, dude. It's like
it's the same bags that you fill sand in when you're doing.
No. I tried those. Those dry right out. I hate those. Those are like polypropylene weaves.
I was using burlap bags.
Yeah, I use burlap, but my shit eats right through it, dude. In like 2 months.
That's right. You can't keep it in the bag for too long because it sort of melts on you. You know, literally the thing just decomposes right in front of your eyes. So it kind of have to be used right away, kind of thing. You know, you have to use it.
That's why I went away from burlap bags originally with my product because I put it in there and I get calls 2 months later saying, "Leighton, the bag is completely gone."
Right.
I told you to use it. Why'd you wait 2 months? Well, that's humans are just friggin' humans. So I stopped using burlap and I went to compound buckets or 5-gallon buckets and tell the people just open it up, leave one flap cracked so that the oxygen can get in and the CO2 can get out. And my product gets better and better and better in time in that packaging. But that's an expensive package. That's like $10 for a 1 bucket and a top. It used to be 5, but you know what's happened in the last couple of years. It's fucking ridiculous.
For me, I would use it because I would make a tea out of it, and that's very good for my spraying. But what I really need to do for my business is find a source that my customers can then buy, and they refuse to. So they get their gardener, they go to the store and they buy crap, and I'm going, didn't I tell you to get something else? Didn't I tell you what to get? No, this is the same thing. They argue with me about the quality of the crap they're getting, which is ridiculous. And I said, the quality of your crap is equal to the quality of your plants and the soil you're going to get. So you got crap in, crap out, if you pardon the expression. See, so I recently found in the store they sell mushroom compost, but again, it's in a sealed plastic bag.
So the other problem with mushroom compost is that they cook it, they churn and burn it.
Right.
So there's no biology in it. There are spores, and I've played with 3 different varieties up at Peach Hill. One of them I like better than the other ones. But bottom line is that if you try to put that broken up mushroom blocks into compost, it's so fine and it holds so much moisture and there's so much nitrogen in it that your pile goes friggin' hyperthermophilic. So it's very.
It happened to me once. I had ashes.
Yeah, it's very difficult to work with.
Literally, I had ashes. I go, whoa! I guess it got too hot.
Yeah, a little, right?
Right. In Florida, I had next door neighbor had like 20 acres. So I made a deal with the zoo and a bunch of other people who brought me their soil and with a big manure spreader. It was a big giant pile. I have no idea how many yards this was. It was enormous. But that one year I got carried away and it's just got ashes. It was like literally ashes in the core, just a little layer on the outside. The rest of it was like, holy cow, you want some well done compost?
Dude, you're so lucky. If that was out here, that would have spontaneously combusted. The only reason it didn't ignite was because of the humidity in Florida and all that rain that kept it outside looking brown.
That's exactly what was happening. I was like, I didn't have to do anything. I was even thinking of putting it on a cement block and catching the water that would fall down, flow through it. Because that's what happened in Florida. It was rain every day, every morning. So nothing got, but it still managed to get super hot. Especially when I had it covered, I would have it covered with a tarp, trying to keep the rain off of it. You lift it up, and it was like, woo, yeah. I remember my first experience with compost was in Puerto Rico. I used to go there during the summertime. Parents on my mother's side had a farm. And they would just throw everything into the compost pile, massive amounts of stuff in the compost pile. And Puerto Rico is also very humid, so the natural rain will keep it from getting too hot. But you imagine a big giant mountain of compost, and then they would also dig a trench and put it in the soil, put it in the ground, cover it back up again, and grow from there later on. That was my first experience with compost. I remember they had a pressure cooker. They put in the compost. There was steam will come out. Okay, it's ready. So, yeah. So I've been dealing with compost. Right now, I'm not really making any compost. I have to, like I said, I really need to come up with a good source. I already have a good source. That would be you. So I can't keep looking. If they make it over at the Peachtree Hill, I can go over and get it. If you have it available, I'll go over and get it. I need to. I want the customers to go to, and I don't see it so hard. It's not so hard to go over to Peachtree Hill and get the compost that you need. I think these gardeners are just lazy. They like going to the store. They like paying for cheap stuff.
Well, that's the problem is that, if you really put that much effort and attention into it, it costs money. You've got equipment expenses, you've got labor expenses, you've got turning expenses, collecting the materials, distributing the materials.
Yeah.
It's a lot of friggin' work. And people don't understand that it's not commercial compost where they just grind it and throw it in a pile and here you go. You get what you get.
No, so I was selling my compost for $50 for 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And they would always complain, why so much? I said, well, you want a list of ingredients? And not only that, I used to go to, in Florida, I would go to a chicken farm. I would go to a rabbit farm. I would go to a llama farm. Here in Malibu, I used to go to a llama farm and get the llama pellets. Mm-hmm. And there's a pet zoo where I would go get deer. I would get well, in Florida I got elephant. You do not want to make compost from elephant manure. That doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. I started. I don't know if I ever told you this, but the Miami Metro Zoo called me up one year and said, we have a problem with our deer. The babies are being born malformed. What do you think the problem is? And so I didn't have to think too much about it because I knew that they were using Roundup in their fertilizer thing for the field that the deers were running around in.
Yep.
So I said, okay, so let me get this straight. You have all these animals, you're taking the manure, you spend money to haul the manure away, and then you're spending the same amount of money to bring the chemicals back into your farm, into your zoo. So why don't you just make, and I called it Zoodoo. I would be a millionaire now if I had patented that name. Why don't you just call it Zoodoo, make your own compost, use it, and also sell it to your public? That's what they started doing. And they wouldn't listen to me when I tell them how to make it, because I told them that, you want to learn to use rock dust when you're making the process. At least you're remineralizing your poop, because your poop is not going to be any minerals in it at all. And the animals are so weak, and they're fed the weirdest things, right? They're fed the weirdest things that their manure is not really what you would normally find.
So, not from nature. No, not from nature. And that's
no. So there was a big problem there, but at least they stopped using the pesticides and the chemicals, and they still had problems because, again, there was trace mineral deficiency in the whole process when they make this stuff. So it's just the basis you work from. You can get the compost, and they think that's it, but no, you still got to make it. You still have to fix. I have a lot of customers that buy the weirdest stuff, and then they say they make compost. They run it through their system, and they don't use any sorts of minerals nor any sorts of biology. They take it. They say, well, why can't I have organically grown food and make compost from that? It's to be rich in minerals. And as you and I know, it could be anything in that food. Usually it's mineral deficient. Usually it's mineral deficient. It's simple as that. These guys don't not know how to make compost. They haven't the faintest idea yet. They call it organic. So it's not easy to figure out. Oh, organic should be. No, it's not.
Well, let's face it, Andy. At the end of the day, everybody's fucking cheating. Everybody's fucking cheating. Like, I know this grocery store, really high end, kind of like Whole Paycheck, but even more on steroids. There was 2 of them down in Connecticut, and the owner's son. I was walking around back to use the bathroom, and I saw the owner's son peeling stickers with the name, the organic label on it, and putting it on the produce. And I didn't say anything. I just walked right past it because I knew what he was doing. But it's like, you don't know, dude. Especially those big chains. Are you fucking kidding me? Anything organic? I think the rule now. First it started with Whole Foods saying it's okay to call it organic with 15% inorganic inputs. That's what started the whole cheat. And that needle moved all the way up to 49% inorganic ingredients. As long as it's 51% organic, you can call it organic.
Yeah,
again, who's checking this shit?
There's a bunch of other weird stuff too. For example, that whole paycheck place, they stopped calling it organic. They call it sustainable. We love Mother Nature, and we're sustainable.
Well, what does the word sustainable mean to you, Andy?
Well, what it should mean is that you're doing something to the earth, that the earth is self-sustainable. Eventually, everything will grow the way it's supposed to be. All the minerals.
That's regenerative.
That's regenerative, right? But I think of it as sustainable.
So sustainable means that you maintain the same level. If you're starting with shit and you're maintaining shit,
you stay with shit.
Right. You're stuck with shit.
Right. Exactly.
Sustainable is just another lie, another friggin' manipulated word. It's sad. I don't want to get fucking too crazy today, but it's just sad. The state.
So there's this company. It's called MG, like with a miracle. Right?
Yep.
And they have a OMRI tag on them.
Oh, I know, dude. I know. Omri is pay to play now. It started to be.
It really is. Because I asked the company, could you send me a package? I want to read your ingredients. And they said no. And I got the ingredients from a friend. I'm going, wait a minute. None of this stuff should be allowed by OMRI. It should not be even considered in the packaging. And
so Andy, here's a good story for you. Back when I was at Rodale, so this was 2010, 11, 12, right around in there. the gentleman that was managing Rodale, so basically the CEO, had decided that he was moving on and he was going to actually go become the CEO for Armory. So I asked him, I said, hey, Coach, what is up with Armory? Like I talked to them. I started to go through the application process, and I go, they want me to certify that the exact amount of same ingredients is going to go into my product every time. I go, Coach, I can't do that. I make compost. It's seasonal. Like sometimes I'm working with these leaves. Sometimes I'm working with those leaves. Sometimes I'm not using any leaves. Sometimes I'm, all these different things. There's no way I could ever guarantee that each piece of compost is going to be identical to every piece that I ever made before that. It's impossible. He goes, Leighton, just fucking lie. Everybody lies. He goes, Leighton, right now they're starting to allow urea into products.
You're serious.
Yeah. So wow. What do you mean they're allowed urea in the products? That's a synthetic input. He goes, Leighton, it's pay to play, dude. If you got enough money, you can get any kind of fucking label you want with them. And let's face it, nobody fucking makes sure that every single grain in their product is the same every time. It's impossible.
It's the same thing with me when I make my super seaweed. I've been making it for a long time. And so I tried, somebody said, okay, well, let's mass produce it. Let's get a label. Then you have to get the label passed, right? And they say, it has to be identical every time you make it. Every time you have this much in there, that has to be identical. And I go, there's no way a human being can make this identical over time. So many factors. Examples, companies come and go. So I buy stuff, and the next year they're not there anymore. So I got to find a different source. So and I tell people it's a private label. It's a private label. It's constantly changing and evolving. You ever hear of Acres USA?
No.
Oh, you would love it. It's a bunch of he did my first book, Chuck Walters, and they're basically a organic farming. They promote. They have books, and they have farmers from all over the United States and the world who are supposedly organic, right? And the whole process is supposed to be organic. They make their own mixtures. They make their own compost, but. And in the back to have all kinds of sources and stuff like that. But the products themselves change like regularly. They're constantly being changed all the time what's in there. So, and it's very difficult to have a formula to stick to it because they're very people. Like, for example, I was buying this stuff called Nitron A35. You ever hear it? Nitron.
It sounds familiar, but I'm not positive.
So it comes from Fayetteville, Arkansas. It was done by a nice couple, and when I first met them in 1970, they had an organic conference meeting. People who come from around the United States and talk about their growing techniques and stuff like that. So they make Nitron A35, which is an enzyme product. It's a big giant vat, right?
Okay, enzyme. Now I have heard about it, but I've never used it.
It's an amazing product when they were making it. So when they died, the son took over. He decided to dilute it. He decided, I'm not going to spend this kind of money and time. I'm just going to dilute it. So I bought it, and I called them up, and I said, so you're not getting away with this, right? Because this is not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You can tell. You can tell by the looks of it, the way it works. And so I stopped buying it. He's out of business now. And there's another company, which is Agrigro, Agrigro, and they make this boron product, liquid boron. And then they add seaweed to it. So it's a boron with liquid seaweed in it. And I know boron is an essential element, and I used it a little bit, but I felt that it wasn't exactly, they wouldn't tell me how they make it, what they were doing. So, and they're still in business, but I stopped using it. And what I switched over to is and I've gone through this process over the years looking for, because I use a product called C90, SEA 90, yep. Right, which is really very good product. They make it for people and for animals as well. But I also use a product called Willard Water, Dr. Willard, Wallard. And Willard Water has 90 trace minerals in a structured water form. So he just figured out how to do it, how to make structured water and put the minerals in the structured water. And it was originally for people. But I spilled it one day and these plants started growing. I go, okay, I'll start using that too.
Nice.
So I use it in my stomach is a really good way for people, human beings, to get trace minerals. Because the whole idea of trace minerals is also not just for plants and animals, but for us humans.
Well, it affects the systematic process of cell regeneration and function, folding proteins, all those important things, creating amino acids. You know, and that's the thing that we've lacked from our food, which is why we're all so sick. Oh, dude, I saw this thing, an article, not on mainstream media, but there are a tremendous amount of doctors in their early 40s, late 30s to mid 40s that are like getting to a point where they're almost suicidal. Like they're like, are we doing more harm than good? Because it's out of their hands now, dude. Like all they're there for is diagnosis and to give you fucking lip service. As soon as they diagnose you, it goes into a fucking algorithm created by the pharmaceutical industries, which is used by the insurance companies to figure out how much or how little or more they're going to let you spend based on your cost of your policy. So in reality, the doctor has lost total control of treatment.
But you never did have it in the beginning. In the very beginning, doctors were like, take this pill, come to my office every day for the rest of your life, and we're good.
Dude, I remember growing up, and the family doctor we had was fantastic. He never pushed pills. Yeah. He was always about, okay, my mother's name was Barbara. Okay, Barbara, are you buying from the farmer's market right down the street? Or, where are you getting your meat from? And making sure that she was keeping us well nourished. That's what he did. He advocated for food. Now, I know that's not true for most doctors, and especially, by mid 70s, that had all changed. And definitely by the 80s, that was gone. But at least, when I was growing up, I remember my mother would get these boxes, these giant white coolers full of meat from the Midwest, which she would then put in the freezer. And as we needed meat, they'd pull it out. And she'd always go to Lookout Farm, which is right down the street in Sherburne. And they had a 10-acre plot of vegetables, and they didn't use any pesticides. They didn't use any fucking fertilizers. They used animal manures and water, and the soil was super healthy. I can remember walking around there in bare feet, and it felt so good in your feet, and you come home when your feet were like kind of almost like greasy because of the biology. I
was really lucky because in the beginning, see, I've always been. I'll sit on it. No, now that's really butt dialing, right? But see, I started, I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican, right? I gotta stop this. Now my butt's shaking. So I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican. This Spanish culture is like beer, sugar, meat. Beer, sugar, meat. That's the thing. That's it. So when you have a party, you have a table, you have goat, pig, lots of beer, massive amounts of sugar sweets. Yeah, and something told me, I don't know if I like that. I didn't really go for it. So they said, you eat like a chicken, you eat like a bird. So what I would do is I would have a little bit of the lettuce, and I didn't like the lettuce. None of us are getting. When I would eat stuff, I would be like, ugh. So I started automatically taking care of myself. And it has not been easy because every time I go, well, like for example, I would take my wife to a doctor, and because I had to take her, but the doctor said, "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be here at all." I said, "Well, I'm bringing my wife here." Most doctors don't like me because I stand for what they don't stand for. They don't understand. I have a show called The Doctor and the Gardener. And so every once in a while, I come across a really cool doctor that understands the biome in your body, understands the value of eating good food and healthy diet, no beer, no this other junk, no this things. But that's very rare. When most doctors are like, they're trained in school. There's nothing to do with nutrition, right? There's nothing to do with what you eat, or let alone what soil it's growing in. None of that stuff is there. So yeah, it's all about what chemicals they keep giving you. And I'm pretty sure they get paid commission for whatever they sell. That's the process, you know. And I have yet to ever take any flu shots. But when I was a kid, the school wanted to give me shots, and I said no. And my mother fought with them, and they allowed me not to do it. My other brothers, they got shots. They got all the shots. And so throughout my whole lifetime, I've never taken any flu shots. Okay, so I took one flu shot. The reason was Susan was like in her 80s. The doctor said, if you catch a flu, you'll kill her wife. I said, okay, fine. Give me the flu shot. My eyes clouded up within a week. I think there's mercury in it or some other stuff. It's like, whoa. I went back and said, oh, no, it wasn't a flu shot that clouded up your eyes. I said, dude, I just got the flu shot on Monday. By Friday, my eyes were clouded over. So I had to go eventually get new lenses replaced. I had to put new lenses in because I couldn't see. And it's the same thing with, you name the vaccine, you name. I never had to meet. So when I was in the service, they said, we're going to have to give you these shots. You have to take these shots. You can travel around the world. You can't. I says, it's against my religion. I have two things I protest against. I won't use a gun. I won't shoot a gun. So maybe I was a photographer. The only thing I'm going to shoot is my camera, right? And I am not going to take any shots. They says, well, you have to sign this form saying if you die horribly, it's not our fault. And I signed it. But I even then, I never caught anything. I became a medic because when I see people shot with a leg half cut off, I would pee on it, right? Hey, what are you doing? I'm saving your leg, man. Stop it, you know? Or we get an herb, chew on the herb, put it on there. Oh, my God, you got gangrene. No, that's called chlorophyll.
Right.
Right? It's like these doctors are so, and I've been that way. And it's really difficult living with other people because all these people are, the Night of the Living Dead. Mm-hmm. That's what you get with all these people. And it's so weird. They said just the other day we went to a restaurant only because the friends visiting. Let's go. Okay, fine. Let's go to a restaurant. I didn't want to go. I went there. I sat there. So what do you want? I'll just look. And they were getting booze. They were getting drunk. They were drinking all this kind of weird booze, and you can tell they were getting drunk, right? They're like, hey. And to me, it's like one of the worst things you could do to your body. The worst things you do to your brain, to your liver, your kidney. And these people are getting drunker and drunker and drunker as they go. This lady friend, all her friends are drunk. She's a drunk. You don't call them drunks, and you don't say you're a drunk because, oh no, I just had one glass. Well, maybe I had a couple of glasses. Okay, maybe I drank the bottle. Okay, it's like, and it's really, it inhibits, there's no trace minerals in their body. It's simple. They have a little bit coming and going because you have to have something in the food. There has to be, but the food is toxic. I'm writing a column called, and I call it toxic. That's what it is. We're swimming in a world of toxic, surrounded by not just toxic, but electromagnetic waves, all these frequencies. Sitting right here, I have this screen on my TV. I have a bunch of other different devices. Hopefully, conquers a little bit of the electromagnetic field that we're getting. This electricity, remember General Electric, the electricity he invented? That's not found in nature. That's not found in nature. Tesla invented what Mother Nature did. That's what mimic is. He mimicked Mother Nature. Alternate currency. What's it called? Alternating.
Yeah, alternating current.
Right. And that's normal. That's what you find in nature. But and it's been this way all my life. I'm constantly fighting and say, you're weird. You're like an alien. I was born on Earth.
You know what? You got that backwards. It's direct. It's DC that's in nature. AC is what Edison created.
Oh, I got it backwards. Okay, great.
Yes. So DC is basically like the Tartarians used to have, free energy out of the air, just like Tesla, right?
Yeah.
creating energy from the ionosphere.
I
That's
had it backwards. Yeah.
yeah, that's DC. That's safe. That doesn't fucking hurt you. It's
No,
we're grown up in it. We live in that environment. That's what our bodies are. Our bodies are DC capacitors,
and we're in this house, which is has the
wired for AC.
flowing all the way through it, and sometimes I'm fortunate enough to be in a field where there's no electricity around. You go, whoa, wow, holy cow, right? Holy cow, because you don't get these. I hear all these frequencies. I go, what the heck is going on here? All these, and even now it's kind of hard to sleep. This is solar powered here, which is a little better. So every once in a while, electricity goes out. No electricity, no Wi-Fi, none of this stuff happening. But you still get the power is still flowing. Even if the power is shut down, it's still generating. You know that, right? When the power is down, it's still generating. Your Wi-Fi, your TV, your computer, it may be turned off, disconnected, but it's still emanating all these kinds of weird frequencies, and your body can't really shut it off because your body's used to receiving frequencies. And I was getting this stuff, is going, what is it? What? And it screws up your electromagnetic field. I talk a lot about how you strengthen your electromagnetic field, because you really need that. You're constantly being bombarded with all these, even in the car, driving in the car. It's such a weird thing because you're separated. We separate ourselves from the earth. So we have these tires, right, that separate us up. All the clothing and shoes that we wear, we separate ourselves from the energy of the earth. I go up to this place called Charmley. I'll take you up there someday. You'll love it. You been up there yet?
No, where is it?
It's up Encino Canyon. It's a 20, 30, 40, 50,000 year old site that the Shumish have been using. The energy over there, they ran these lines up there, so they have electricity, a building there and all that stuff, which is like, and the trees are going, what the heck is that, right? The insects are going, what the heck is that? Because if you're in an environment where Mother Nature provides you the energy, there's like these amazing, Malibu, for example, has 10 big giant vortex. These are vortex, and they happen because it's called a Topanga plate. Normally, a vortex, when you have a plate that goes above the other like that, so the Topanga, it starts in the Topanga, it's called Topanga plate, and it goes like this on top, right? And when it does that, it creates these energy fields that go on up. And not only that it happen on the land side, but on the ocean side as well. And it's very, very interesting if you find yourself bathing in that, because a lot of times I was sitting. So this place in Charmley, there's 4 vortexes that are really, really cool, and you can literally sit in the center. So this guy, he must have been an alien because he bought that place, and he built this pool. It's like half a circle, right, of cement. He filled it up with water. And one of the cool things about Charmley is that it's out high enough that when the fog comes in, you're at that level. The fog's flowing right over the land. You're standing there like you're on a cloud. And it's moisture. And the moisture, because it's water, I talk a lot about how water and energy have this special relationship, like the human beings with water. So that's why we have this relationship with energy. And it mimics, so the vortex goes up like that. The water molecules go up with it too. And you can literally see the energy fields. And so that's really cool. That's really, really cool. But people are so, I think they're poisoned. I feel that their energy is not normal. It's not working right. It feels like they're like the zombies. There's nothing wrong with their energy field, right?
And it's more like they're vibrating so low,
yeah,
that they're stealing energy from everybody that has a higher vibration that they come in contact with.
That's why I call it zombies, right?
Yeah, I call them drones, like the worker drones, like ants. They don't even know what the fuck is going on.
No, so sometimes I wear stuff, right? I wear something and they come up to me and they have the balls, pardon expression, to start with their hands moving to. I said, don't do that. And sometimes they're so fast, they grab it immediately, right? What are you doing? And you can see that they're taking the energy. They're just sucking. Fortunately, I have an unlimited amount of energy. I fry them. Take all you want, buddy. Go ahead. Suck it up. See what happens. And they can't handle that. And that's the only way I've managed to protect myself is to, fine, take all you want. An unlimited amount. Just go for it. And that's the only way I've been able to survive. But I'm getting to the point where I really want to go on a tropical island
Go hide.
and just hang out there, do some fishing, have a little garden, no internet, none. But even then, I was reading this column really weird about people in Africa have cell phones in the middle of a forest, and it works because of all the satellites that who has around the Earth, bombarding. No matter where you're at, you're gonna get this bombardment, and that is really weird. That is really, really weird. I was talking to people about what is it? Wi-Fi 6? Is it
No, 5G.
5G, right? And these are military. They were developed by the military as a way to fry your cells. They're already onto 6G. The technology they're using on smart meters are like, you're kidding me, right? You're kidding me. And even though people said, no, we're not going to have it, they did it anyway. One of the things that happened when the virus hit the people and people were in the house, they went and set up the smart meters everywhere.
Yep, and that and those towers, they're not even the internet towers or cell phone towers. They're a new type of tower.
Yeah,
I forget
right.
what they're called, but they affect the metals that are being built up in our bodies, and they're basically like putting a piece of tinfoil in the microwave. It's like it's slow. You're not getting that, but it's a very slow effect.
Right, and we need to be able to have the trace metals flow through our bodies and do what they're supposed to do. But so if they become supercharged or charged in a negative way with this technology that they have, because that's what they're going. That's what they don't tell you this, but that's how they're going to kill people, right? By sending this beam directly to, and they call it I forget what they call it because it doesn't hurt structures. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's they used it down in Cuba,
right?
On the embassy,
right? Exactly right.
Yeah, they nuked the fucking employees down there.
Right, and the building's fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything works except that your cells are fried.
Yep, and there all kinds of illnesses come from it too.
Right, and so and under an ionized sky, and that's a whole different thing, man. Nathan Graham was talking about the text about under an ionized sky. And that's another thing that people are that they're misused. Human beings are very weird because we have the ability to follow nature or create our own hell, basically.
Well, all right. I think that it all goes back to one ultimate decision that was made by a family back in the day in the dark ages, which really weren't dark, where they started lending money. And they would lend money to both warring factions. So both warring factions would fight each other. Somebody would win, but whoever won basically lost their kingdom. And that just kept it going and going. Pretty soon they got thrown out of Europe. And guess where they came? And they created the Federal Reserve. And now they control everything to a point where money has no value. And they can do these things. Direct energy weapons, cloud seeding, or friggin' chemtrails, same fucking shit, different title. And they're wreaking havoc because at this point, and let's face it, they started fluorinating our water. That didn't kill us. They started feeding us fake foods and synthetic inputs. That didn't kill us. It made us a little sicker, right? But it didn't kill us. We're still multiplying. They've tried fucking lead in the water. They've tried chlorine in the water. Then they went to chloramine because the chlorine didn't even fucking kill our gut health. So we humans are a really resilient virus.
We're a virus. We're a virus.
Yeah, because we consume everything with no thought about our host. We're not giving back. We're just take. And a lot of that's due to programming. And unfortunately, what was his name? The guy that created the subliminal messaging. Damn it, why his name? Right in the fucking tip of my tongue. Freud. Sigmund Freud.
Freud.
Yeah, he created subliminal messaging. He used it in a theater, in a drive-in. Between the intermission, just before the intermission, he flashed hot dogs and popcorn.
Eat, right.
and everybody went in and bought the popcorn and the hot dogs, but didn't take any ice cream or anything else. So it was like he knew that the experiment worked, and then they outlawed it.
And that's still happening. And I'm not going to say anything on this channel here because it's going to be very difficult to watch anything that you're not getting subliminal messaging. And the subliminal whatever it is.
Subliminal messaging.
Right. It's done so fast. Your eyes still get it. You get the message, but you're not conscious of it at all that you're getting a message. And so it's getting better and better at it. The military is using it on the civilians. It's all a military thing. A lot of it's all military, how you control. And the world as a whole does not like America in the sense that if America was to actually stand for what it's supposed to do, it wouldn't go for any of this stuff. But realistically, what's happening now too is that the world is saying we're not going to go with money anymore. You can go ahead and print all the money you want to. We're going to go some other routes. That's what this whole Bitcoin is all about. That's what all these coins are all about. It's a different way of dealing with money. And I don't know how the United States was the only country in the world that could print its own money.
Well, that's not true. China, Russia, Brazil.
Are they?
Yeah, they've been Iran. They've been printing their own money.
Oh, cool. I thought the United States was the only one doing it.
Well, we got tied to the oil, and that was forced. Anybody that wanted to buy oil on scale, they had to use American dollars. I mean, that was again, that was the Federal Reserves manipulating the world market. And they won. And so now it's a matter of like, okay, yeah, we trusted you guys, and all you did was just print more and more and more money, and devalue the ability for us to make a good living based on the fact.
Right now, Saudi Arabia is getting off the money, off of the American money.
Yeah, that's BRICS. That's Russia, China, Brazil, Iran, South Africa, and I think they've got another probably dozen smaller countries that have all signed on, and that's going to be gold backed, which is going to crash the dollar at some point. And it comes back to this. I love having these conversations, but I hate them at the same time because it's just depressing, right? It's just fucking depressing. Like, how do you talk to a kid today and say, hey, what's your 5-year plan? I don't know. I'm only worried about how much money I can earn tomorrow because I owe all this money to this or to the college or to my insurance or to my
take away his cell phone and see what happens.
Right. But again, it's like the hope isn't there. There's like, they're not stupid. They know that based on everything that's going on around us, we cannot continue to do this. And there's no way to stop it. Even if you had a fucking civil war, dude, and America ripped itself fucking back into the Stone Age, it's too fucking late. It's too fucking late for all of our lakes, rivers, streams, waterways, unless all of the money was put toward the environment to clean it up and make it better and regenerate it, which it could be done. It could be done very quickly within probably 5 years. Like some of the shit I'm working on right now, Andy, I can't even begin to explain to you. We've learned how to degrade. See, when we talk about biology, we talk about decomposers and solubilizers, but nobody talks about degraders. And one of the most important things to understand is the power of a degrader. So you have this long carbon chain, you got calcium bonds, phosphorus bonds, nitrogen bonds. But in those bonds, you have carbon on both sides of it. So it's impossible to get to that bond. So a solubilizer can't break it down. A degrader can't break it down because the carbon chain is so fucking strong and it's locked into a friggin' a phosphorus or a nitrogen. But if you have a degrader and that degrader can pull that phosphorus away from both the double bonded carbon sides, now you have two separate compounds that have carbon on both ends that can be attacked by the decomposers. So they decompose that back and now they hit a nitrogen molecule. Now the solubilizer can pull that and either gas it off, turn it into a VOC, or consume it and use it as, you know, in its own metabolic processes. But we can take these incredibly complex compounds that are thought to be forever or very, very long shelf life. But if you have the right biology, it can fucking turn them around. In literally days and weeks, it can degrade this shit. But you have to have the right blends, and they have to be in the right environment where that biology can survive. Or you have to supplement that environment so that they can survive. But it all can be done. The only real issue we have is radioactive isotopes. But even then, if you have mycorrhizae, the mycorrhizae will pull those isotopes up, bring it to the plant. The plant will go, ew. And the mycorrhizae will go build a tube and just start stuffing all of those isotopes that it's picking up accidentally into that tube. And as long as you don't touch the soil, those isotopes are locked up for forever. And so we have all of these tools and techniques, but there's no money, there's no incentive. And let's face it, the people that are in control of the money, you've heard the expression absolute control creates absolute friggin' mayhem or disconnect or loss of fucking reality, right? And that's kind of where we are at this point. Until that structure that's in control of everything comes to a point where it says, oh, fuck, just because I'm the most powerful man in the world doesn't mean that I can survive in this world anymore. Only then will they turn the money spigot on to fucking start cleaning up the environment.
Right now, the money spigot is going into the weirdest thing, promoting more of the vaccine, promoting more of the genetically modified organisms, promoting more war right.
everywhere.
And I tell people it's not the Earth that's in trouble. It's us human beings. And unfortunately, it's one thing if the human beings die. Okay, fine. The rest of the planet will have life. And okay, no, we're taking everything down with us. We take everything down with us.
Well, remember this, Andy, and this is a way to positively spin this conversation we're having right now.
Yeah, always depressing.
So it is now truly understood that we as a species, immediately upon gaining consciousness, began to systematically eliminate the megaflora and fauna. In other words, the biggest trees, we cut them down. The giant sloths, hairy rhinos, mammoths, we hunted them to extinction. Just like we almost hunted whales to extinction in the late 1800s, right? Yeah. We are the problem. We are in our consciousness, and again, you know, like I kind of sometimes laughingly say, we're just in a giant experiment on a petri dish floating in fucking space. Some aliens laughing his ass off. Go, look at those stupid fucking humans. They're killing themselves. They're killing their planet. They're killing everything, right?
We are the cancer.
But the good news is this planet has gone through 6 identified extinctions, and there's probably more. I mean, the worst one in my mind was when both poles froze to the equator. That's known. You look it up. The whole surface of the Earth was caked in ice. What can fucking live through that?
Right. And we did.
Well, we didn't. We evolved after it, and so did a lot of other things. But so what? We kill every species, everything, every living thing on this planet. We can't kill all the plants.
No.
And we know that we can't kill all the insects.
Or all the biology.
Nor all the biology. So eventually something new will come back, and it probably won't look anything like what was here when we were here.
It won't look like us at all. It won't look like
or perhaps not even the animals that we've experienced in our lives.
No, people think that this is like normal. We'll be around for a long time, but the creation of the way we are now was very unique, and it won't probably happen again, but it'll happen in some other form, some other way. Living beings may be entirely different than what we know about here, and so it's a really weird process. And when I started, my first book was How to Heal the Earth in Your Spare Time, 1971. The idea was everybody should be responsible for their own actions. A little bit that everybody does adds to the whole, to the benefit of the whole. And I would tell people I was yelling about plastics. I was yelling about water. I was yelling about. So I wrote article called 10 Ways to Kill All Living Beings on the Planet. And so it turns out that the scientists said, we just came up with 10 environmental boundaries you're not supposed to cross, and you talked about each one of those. Did you read my report? I said, nope. No, and it's very logical. Clean water, right? I mean, clean water. Clean air, right? Clean soil, right? Clean ecosystem. You know, the whole 10 yards, and we are degrading everything to the point where, and I used to stand in the corner. The end is near. Now I flip it over and says, forget it. It's all over with. It's just, it's done. We're done. Forget it. But at the same time, I always have. I'm an optimist. I believe that we human beings can wake up and go, wait a minute, we need to change this. We need to, and it's never too late. It's never too late. You know that show that says never give up. You know, that the guy went, never give up. You just never give up. And so that's why we're here for. We're basically here trying to stir things up to get people to understand that the way that we're doing things now is all wrong. We shouldn't. I love Star Trek. No money. They took money out of the picture. You know, you can do whatever it is you want to do. And I would love to do. I would love to be in an environment like that where we basically are here for the benefit of the. So one of the things I've learned I'm doing now is I'm changing my corporation. So my corporation it's against the law for the corporation not to make money to. If you go negative 3 years in a row, the IRS will get your ass, right? You can't work. So they formed a new corporation called Benefit Corporation. Benefit is for the benefit of the earth. The corporation is geared to produce benefits for the earth. It doesn't have to. If it doesn't make money, so what? If it takes that energy and creates benefits for the earth, that's the way to go. And that's the way I'm converting my corporation to be a benefit for the earth. So I'm not here to make money, even though money is what we have to do to survive. I'm here to benefit the earth. I want to benefit animals. I want to benefit the birds and the bees. I want to benefit. A benefit comes back. You know, you give, you receive. As you give, so shall you receive. That's very true. So right now we're not giving. We're taking, and eventually it's going to get to a point where you can't. There's nothing to take. There's nothing here left.
Well, it's called an extractionist economy, and it's been programmed into our heads since the late 1800s. As a matter of fact, I love referring back to the world in 1850. In 1850, although there was still corruption, there was still problems, there was still money, games being played, but it hadn't been pushed to a point where there was no return. In other words, back then, there was all kinds of free energy, and all the churches and all the main buildings with their sacred geometry and their bells. Let's face it, every bell was just a sending out free energy of happy vibrations to the people that heard it, and all that's been taken away. And so, prior to 1850, it was a beautiful place to live. We had not destroyed the world. We had not destroyed ecosystems. You could go to any stream, any river, any lake, drink the water with no fear whatsoever, other than, there are some parasites that could be there that could hurt you, but it's not like it's polluted. It's not like it's poisoned, and not poisoned to a point where only those bad guys are present, like nowadays, where, any water that you drink, if it's not purified, you're bound to get a virus, a freaking brain-eating amoeba or a nematode that's disruptive in your system. So that's that whole competitive strategy. Competitive there's a term for it in soil food web: competitive advantage or disadvantage. So you take away one organism's competitive advantage by having all this diversity around it, so it can't just compete. It has to compete to survive. It's not just free to just do whatever the hell it wants, which is kind of what's happened to our soil. I mean, dude, the fungus that's coming out of the valley that's affecting humans now, that's just going to keep getting crazier. And there's so many things that we could do to fix that. But again, the powers that be don't fucking care. They want to see a reduction in population.
So one thing that's really interesting, and I don't think many people know this, but let's just look at the pyramids for a second. They were free energy source.
Yep.
The system that they had developed literally powered their whole city. And if you go to anywhere in the world with any ancient technology, they're all energy sources, free energy sources.
Mm-hmm.
That they mimic nature. They saw how nature generates energy, and they build things to enforce that rather than destroy it. And I think that's so really, really cool. And same thing with the Sphinx. The Sphinx is a very unique structure. It's thousands and thousands of years older than the pyramid. It was there before. Yep. It was there when the Gobi Desert was actually the Gobi Forest.
Mm-hmm.
See?
The great prairies.
Yeah, and so and there's still are structures around the world that you go to, you go, wow, right? That generate energy simply by the way Mother Nature has made it. That's one of the reasons why when that's how I got the name Invisible Gardener in my internal feelings. I always said that the true invisible gardeners are the soil biology. I didn't start using the term soil biology until I started dealing with Ken. And he started calling it soil biology. I said, "Well, that explains it, really." I always call it microbes, right? But the biology encompasses everything, including the energy fields, including how energy works. I met when I was in Arkansas, I was giving a talk. In the audience was a guy named Phil Callahan, and he wrote a book, Tuning into Nature, and he wrote another book called Towers of Power. So he realized that in nature, especially in Europe and all these other places, when they, like for example, Stonehenge. You ever been to Stonehenge, man?
I have not.
You flip right out. Because it's been like thousands and thousands of years. It's an energy generator. Seriously, it's a big time energy it generates. And it was built on where these ley lines converge. So it would take the energy that the ley lines, and it would build it and amplify it. The Church of England built where the energy convert. And so they, in certain places like in Ireland, they're called towers of power. They have these giant towers that go up into the sky. And it looks like a big giant shaft that's got a roof up there and a door somewhere along the top of there. And people go, what is that for? Oh, that's because when the Vikings come, we will climb up and hide in there. No, that was built in a very, so Wilhelm Reich developed the concept of organic accumulator. We'll call it an organic accumulator. It's layered, organic and inorganic material layered. This is the way Mother Nature would normally take the energy and absorb it. So the whole tower was built with crushed crystals up to a certain point. And that thing has a certain frequency. So the guy, Phil Callahan, was flying in a helicopter and he go, what? So there's a desert, except there's one spot was luscious and green, right? Like maybe a mile all the way around it. And you can see the tower. It's just something, that tower is somehow doing something to the rest of the environment, because all that grass was growing, the cattle would be there, and people would live there. And he saw it in other places, and he realized that these are all the ley lines merge, and they would take that energy and transmit it out again. There's another guy called, let's see if I remember his name now. I forgot it, but basically what he did was, and this has to do with radionics, because I studied radionics early on in my youth, because radionics is the system of not only acknowledging frequency, but also transmitting the same frequency. When I read about Bach flower remedies, you know how you make the Bach flower remedies, he said, this plant has a certain energy, I'm going to put it in this water or in this pill, right? Make the same energy. So you take the energy from there and convert it over to this one. That's the same thing I do when I do gem elixirs. Basically, I realize that these are certain frequencies that can be put into other materials, and specifically water. And because we're water, we can also put it into our stuff. We will absorb that energy right into our liquid foundation that we have. And so I learned that the earth, and that's why I like mimicry. We talk about mimicry, right?
Biomimicry.
Biomimicry, right? And so so when I learned about Bach flower remedies, I also realized, why can't I do that with gems? Why can't I transfer the energy of a ruby or a diamond? They all have specific, really cool energy. But if you put it, I call them a collage. So if you can learn to blend different crystals together, different gems together. There's a difference between gems and crystals. The gems are basically been faceted. They've been what do you call it? Faceted.
It's been cut.
It's been cut. And if the guy knows what he's doing, he will cut it to a certain frequency. He will get, there it is, right? Mm-hmm. Right. And whereas the crystals are in the raw form. And so, and it's very different because the gem is like 1 billion times more powerful than the crystal is any day because it's been fine-tuned down to this frequency. And you can transfer it any number of ways. But I watched Mother Nature, how she transfers data, because data is information. And when I'm talking about the frequency, that's the data, right? The data that they're transferring. When I saw the book Image of Water, transferring the data. The data is in Mother Nature, for example, I've learned when thunder has an amazing way of energizing the water, transfers the water. It literally, what structured water is, you had told me once before, but basically it's the fifth form of water, right? Fifth form of water. Am I wrong? Fourth
okay.
Form
of water, yeah.
Fourth form of water, and basically.
Or fourth phase of water.
Fourth phase, right? And you'll find that the way our water is now, if you were to look under, you'll find that it's no form. It's all a big mesh of stuff. In nature, if you look at it, it's a form. It's literally form. They're all lined up. They all are ready to accept information and transmit it. The water we're getting now, you can't find it. You go out, buy water to drink, or even the rain comes down is not the normal water that we've been getting all the centuries that we've been evolving. So we're getting away from the one thing. So to me, the soil is important, but the water, if you don't have water, you don't have life. And if you have this junk that's like not even water, it looks like water, but it's not water. Not the way Mother Nature intended us to be dealing with water. That's why I have a real hard time, even the filtered water here. So I learned how to consciously structure the water that I drink. I even structure the water that I spray out, right? Because I feel that they need that energy. But the water does not last very long in this toxic environment. It literally does not. I go and spray stuff. You'll find that water just gets destructured almost immediately. The soil is nothing there. Give me the good stuff. Now they're not alive anymore. And so it's a very weird setup we have gotten ourselves into because, that's why we're sick. That's why the animals are sick. More and more trees are getting sick. The ocean is not exactly happy anymore these days, right? You have all this forever chemicals and everywhere and everything now. There's no place. I read somewhere, the age of man, there's a name for the age of man that translates to plastic.
Transfers to what?
Translates into, it says the age of man is a name, and that name translates into plastic.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the age of mankind. So if an alien was to come on this planet, there's no place on the earth you will not find. What will happen is you'll find this layer of plastic all the way around the earth. You know how when they're looking for ancient societies and they look at the layers of the earth, yeah. And this is happening in a volcano. There's going to be a layer of plastic all the way around the earth.
So it's funny that a lot of the geohistorians have come up with a name for that, and they basically the system is fighting them, saying no, you're not going to be allowed to coin that term. That we're never going to call it the age of plastic. There's a different term for it. I forget what it is, but yeah, there's microplastics on fucking Mount Everest, for Christ's sake. There's no escaping it.
It's ocean, even in space.
Yeah, it's too late for that. But again, let's try to reel it in and talk a little bit more about.
I'm happy to talk about wherever you want to talk
about.
Yeah,
but again, we can go on and on about the mysteries and the free energy and the way we wish society was, but it is what it is. We're here now. You and I are both doing the work.
Gardeners. We basically
we're doing the best we can to really understand how to shift this paradigm, and it's through education. And one of the things that I've been working on a lot lately with Craig Tresser, who will be on this podcast soon, is understanding soil as a bank account or as a battery. There's so much information on like really healthy soil has aggregates, right? Macro and micro aggregates.
Yeah.
Well, those aggregates are like little batteries, and they're holding all of these charges that hold on to the nutrients and the minerals and stuff that will wash through the soil or wash off the soil in many cases. Because if it's compacted soil, the water can't penetrate, so it runs horizontally, and that's called erosion. And that's pulling all those minerals and nutrients that we don't want in our waterways into our waterways, causing more problems, et cetera, et cetera. But if you start with building the micro aggregates in the soil, within a very short period of time, they can become macro aggregates, especially if you've got what we want to call indigenous plants, plants that are used to surviving in that environment. There's some hybrids that'll work, and there is also cross planting that can happen that is beneficial. But if you really establish a very healthy, lush plant system, that soil can be regenerated in literally months.
In no time at all. That's why we say more roots in the ground, more roots in the ground.
Yeah. And, a lot of times to start, like you said, I mean, it's great to be using rock dust and mineral powders. But Andy, what I found that's something that's even more interesting is clay. Dude, I've been playing with clay in my compost, and my nutritional levels are going through the roof. You can't see the clay. You know how when you put rock dust in there, you can still see it? It takes a long time for it to break down. Well, friggin' clay disappears, dude, man. It just fucking gets eaten up by the biology.
So one of the sources that I call rock dust, but it's really alluvium clay.
Yeah.
It's alluvium clay. And I get it from San Diego. They had the hot mud baths there. Yep. Right?
And
the hot mud baths.
Is it alluvial or is it called lenita? Oh, fuck. I just had it on the tip of my bentonite. Bentonite clay.
Right. Bentonite is one of the forms of there's alluvial and there's bentonite.
Okay.
They come from different sources.
Yeah, because the alluvial is essentially crushed rock.
Right.
So it's rock dust in its finest form.
Right. So that's what they call it. So I haven't really tested it, the mud baths in San Diego, but it's really minerally rich. And I have a feeling that it is an alluvium, it isn't crushed rock, that it is actually clay, bentonite clay. But there's one way to do it, to test it and see. I actually have some of it. I buy 50 pounds of it on a regular basis. And it's 30% calcium.
Interesting. So then it's not bentonite, or not.
Not rock dust.
No, it's not.
Alluvium.
No, alluvial clay, and then there's bentonite. I just said it. Fucking
bentonite.
Bentonite. Yeah. Bentonite is what we call primary clay. It's white, so it does not have any colors or any excess minerals and nutrients. And I think, in many ways, it was used by a lot of like the LA stars and stuff for gut health. And it was good for gut health because it didn't have any potential cross contaminants where you can get, they call them contaminants, but they're really not. They're not like they're going to poison you. But the blue clays, the green clays, the taupe
clay is so wonderful. Clay is absolutely wonderful. I started using this clay, and I noticed a big difference in the plants themselves, in the trees themselves. I would even take the clay, add it to water, and use it as a poultice on a wound, on tree wound. Instead of using that stupid tar stuff, I'll take the clay and put the clay on the wounds. And I even put clay on my body because it's mud bath clay that sucks out the toxins in your body. I've learned to take a couple of pills of it on a regular basis. And I think that it's the 30% calcium. I'm pretty sure it has something to do with it because any of the other rock dust like azomite is 1% calcium percent.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of azomite. I know a lot of people love it, but
No, I'm not too crazy about it either.
yeah, it's cheap. That's why people use it, but you're only getting 30% benefit from all of that material. The rest of it's inert or high in aluminum. It's just got a bunch of other shit. It's not ideal.
And they have it pelletized, so they do something to it.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I love minerals, and I'm with you. Like, I started playing around with clay this spring as an addition into the different ingredient piles I'm making, and I'm getting some really amazing results as far as like the nutritional value.
Clay is microbial, soil biology friendly.
Yeah.
It's 200 mesh. 200 mesh. So it's already very fine. And the microbes don't have to break it down so fast, so they're already broken up for them to get access to it. It holds it's paramagnetic, so it holds energy. I talk a lot about cosmic gardening, because when the cosmic ray shoots through the earth in and out, it's that nanosecond. It leaves that energy imprint, and it leaves it in the clay. Clay is more so than it does anything else. And then when you're using it, it gets right back. You get it. That's one of the things. I wish just eat clay if I could do it. Because I know it really helps my tummy. I know it does, and I've had burns. I would put on, or insect bites. When I was in Costa Rica, I got bitten by a brown recluse, and I found some clay. I put it on the clay, sucked up the poison out right away. So I love clay, and I wish I could get a lot more of it. I'm just not going to be driving down to San Diego that much to get the source of clay. I'm thinking of doing that soon, going at it maybe to get 10 bags, 50-pound bags, but I can't be lifting up to 50-pound bags. But it's one of the problems I've had all my years. I used to make like 100 bags of compost every week, 50 pounds each bag. Figure that one out. So I finally gave up, and I just hired workers to do the lifting, but I can't really lift it anymore. But clay is absolutely amazing, and I would love to. It dissolves in water really well. It dispenses up in water, so I could spray it. And I find that very useful. The only problem is people say, "Well, look what you left this stuff everywhere." Because when it dries, right? When it dries, they will leave it like it's dirty. So I have to. But I love using it in roots for root systems. But my sprayer puts oxygen into the soil. It pumps oxygen back into the soil, because it's good. Like you said, the water doesn't go down, but oxygen doesn't get down in there either. It forms. You know what happens when you have clay and you add water and then you add heat? You have porcelain. That's why they call it a hard pan, right? It just stops the energy from passing through, and that's what's going on in a lot of these places. The water, especially now with all that rain we had, and you have this clay. Now we're having the heat. It's getting hard, really, really super hard, and the root systems are suffocating down there.
Yep, exactly right.
Literally are suffocating. So I invented what I call tree vents. So I found these clay drain pipes, which are also paramagnetic. I found that if I make a little microbial colony in there, they would literally live on the clay, because that's what it is. These are clay drain pipes, right? So and they make them in Malibu. They're called wine holders, because people buy them. They put the wine bottles in them, right? Yep. Right. And so I love, and I'm actually. I use that a lot, but I'm actually thinking of, and they're clay drain pipes about like that around.
Yeah, they're bread.
Yeah, I want to pass my hose through them and figure out a way to pass it through it, because any water that passes through it will pick up that same energy of the clay, which I think is really cool. I have a friend of mine. I'm going to have him on here. He's a water expert. He talks about different sources of water and how to clean the water, energy, and all that stuff. And so I'm going to get him to create for me a way to, because what I want to do is when I spray my liquid, I want to spray it as a magical water, magical elixir, right? That's what I want to spray. I want to spray magic as much as I can. I wish I had a magic wand, to do that, because that to me, it's magic. What the earth does is magic, and I consider it magic. And I feel that when the trees and the insects are not happy, it's because the magic is not there. The elementals, the natural spirits, the energy, they say, we're out of here, because they cannot survive in a sterile environment. They need this energy. That's what they live on. So if we're negative energy, right? Everybody's negative energy. The trees are not going to get the energy they need, nor are the insects, nor are the birds. The trees can't get up and go somewhere else. I learned a lot about from Paul Stamets with the mushroom, how mushrooms can save the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was really cool. I learned from him about how the microbial web is the internet of the soil, which I think is really cool. But the internet, you think it transfers energy and information, right? So trees can communicate, but also they pass along this energy and the data. I call it data because there's so many. For me, minerals are data. Data. That's basically what it is. You learn how to transfer data across, and the Mother Earth has a very unique way of transmitting the data all around the world. Right? When something happens in one part of the world, you're going to get that like when a volcano goes up and it just transfers all the way around the world. And so right now we're losing that ability because the system that energy gets transferred is not there anymore. It's not functioning. But I tell people, if a giant spaceship was to come on the planet, take all human beings off the Earth, the energy will regenerate. It will heal itself. It will be. You come back 10,000 years, you go, whoa! I did a thing once about these group of aliens that would come to Earth to go fishing. Right? They would come to Earth because it's the only place on the planet, in this solar system, in this galaxy, that's got water you can fish. So they would come to land there and they would fish. And so, but they have stopped coming. Or what would happen is they would come and land, do some fishing, and the computer says, danger, it's toxic. You can't eat that. No, you can't eat that. No, you can't eat that. And so it's getting to a point where they can't even fish anymore. That's what I was saying. Because I truly believe aliens come here because this is a very unique garden. It's very, very unique. And water is like more scarcer than gold. And if you have water and gold on the same location, that's what you get very interesting energy, which is very much. We're energy beings. We need the energy. If we don't get this energy, we're going to slowly die. We're going to die horribly because we can't absorb the energy. And if the energy is negative, and our body gets this negative energy, and that's where you get diseases. That's where you get all kinds of other things that are going on. And unfortunately, again, I'm going back to this thing that I really feel that I should stand in the corner with something more flashy, something more, wake up, hello, because it's never too late. And that's what we're doing here. We're really here. There are all these folks, all these wonderful people like Cake in the Cup and Hillbilly Herb. These are all wonderful people that realize that we have to stick together, and we talk about consciousness. It's a group consciousness that we're reaching for, right? We're reaching for a certain number of people on the planet that have that energy to raise up the rest of it. That's why when we talk about the Aquarian age, the Piscean age, these are cycles, and basically energy cycles. And then people don't realize that the whole solar system, the whole galaxy is traveling through this energy field. And that's why we labeled, Aquarius age of Taurus, it's basically the energy field that we're in. And if you don't have the ability to absorb the energy, you die. So what happens is Piscean, fishes in the water, Aquarius, fishes have better learned to swim, to fly, because they're no longer in the water, but it's a different process, right? It's entirely different. The energy is entirely different. And so right now, we're actually in the age of Aquarius. We're about 10 degrees in the age of Aquarius. It's going to last another 10,000 years. And right now, whenever two ages overlap, that's when it's really dangerous, because the old age does not want to give it up. They don't want to give up the fishes, follow the fish, the lead fish. They don't want to fly. They don't want the air. And so it's a process of changing your consciousness. It's all about consciousness. It's all about what we perceive our beings to be. And it's raising. I like that raisin, right? Raisin vibrations. And that's what it's really all about. And I study a lot of Nikola Tesla stuff. I really did. I have this autobiography. I can actually look at his charts and stuff and go, oh, cow. So it's all about energy, and we are coming into more and more. Like recently, people are learning about the cycles of the moon and how the sun. We had this massive solar flare just not too long ago, the biggest solar flare we've ever had in the history of mankind, and it was like massive. And it didn't hit us directly; it just glanced us a little bit. But if it had hit us directly, I think we would have evolved immediately. We would have said, "Okay, now we're beings of light." And so it's a process of communicating with other people. It's a process of being good gardeners, not only of the soil, but of our soul. One of my shows is called From the Soil to the Soul. I tell people, if you want to have a healthy body, because all these people are meditating, all this stuff, and yet they're not organic, they could care less what they're eating, what they're drinking. They have the balls to tell me, we can transfer toxins in our body. And then they die horribly of some disease, and that's so much for you transferring toxins in. And so it's a process that it's always happening in the Aquarian ages. Either we're going to have 10,000 years of light or 10,000 years of darkness.
Agreed, 100%.
That's the way it comes. That's the way it comes down to. And I one of the things I love doing, I do kinesiology on trees. I do kinesiology on plants.
I know you told me about that, but maybe the audience doesn't know. So please explain it.
Well, kinesiology is really there's a book called The Power of Light, Light and Dark. It's called Light and Dark. The guy who invented kinesiology, saying basically you are talking to the God within you, to the God, your God. So when you ask yourself a question, it's God answering you. It's a way that you can communicate with the higher forces. And so I figured, well, everything's alive, so we can do kinesiology. I can talk to a tree, and you don't have to yank. Normally, you hold something close to your heart in your left hand. Somebody comes and pulls on it, and if it's good for you, you have the strength. If it's bad for you, it pulls it down. That's the basis of kinesiology. You can say, "Can I eat this? Or is this good for me?" And your body go, "Yeah," or say, "No, don't." And it's the same thing with trees. But the trees, you don't have to do a branch. All you have to do is look at the energy fields that the tree generates. Trees are very unique in nature because they're antennas. That's grounded. One of the reasons why we need trace minerals, in my opinion, is to be able to ground ourselves.
Yep.
See, right? And so we evolved to a point. We were beings in the soil. We say, "Hey, we're going to get up and walk around." It took a long time for us to develop our internal soil, right? To take the soil with us. It took a long time to figure that out. And because we think we're smarter because we're not connected to the earth. There's a science that's basically it's called grounding, where you walk around barefooted and you ground yourself. But they neglect to tell you that if you don't have any trace minerals to ground yourself, there's nothing there to ground yourself with. If you have toxins in your body, right, and your system is not working, you're not going to be able to ground yourself at all. That's the key. That's the key to grounding yourself. You have to have the energy flowing through your body in order to be able to ground yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to ground yourself. You're just going to be, "Oh, I'm so happy now." No, it doesn't work that way. So it's a process of, and I think as we go more and more into the Aquarian age, our consciousness. I tell people there's a smaller consciousness and the greater consciousness. I was talking about in the other show we did about the difference between a drop and the ocean. And sometimes we're the dropper, we're actually also the ocean. And so it's a big process because when you go back to the ocean, you're no longer the drop. See, right? But you still the ocean is still has that little bit of consciousness that you had, that experience that you had. So right now, people are they're it's like the lemmings effect. When I first started doing this, people say, "You have to do this." I go, "Why? Everybody's doing it." Well, I'm not. Everybody runs off the cliff, and you're supposed to go off the cliff with them too. So I think there's some of us that go, "No, I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go do this." And that's what's unique about us human beings, that we have the ability. Some of us have the ability to say, "Wait, I'm not going to do that. Sorry, that's not going to happen. And the forces that be don't like that. So we have to learn to be invisible. We have to learn to do our thing without them seeing us, because you have to learn how to shield yourself from all this energy. I think they want to control us, and there's many different ways to control people. One of them is through your food, right? The food they give you, they will control you. And the food you're getting now is it's more like you're an addict. the chemicals that's in the food are really cocaine type of things, right? You get addicted to the sugar that you get. They were naming so first they made genetically modified sugar. It's really sweet. And then they said, okay, we need to make it sweeter. We need to get it sweeter. We want people to keep eating it. So they were going to call it, if you eat this sugar, you'll die. And now they said, well, let's call it fructose. It's not fructose, right? It's some super concentrated sugar that you take. And whenever you see added sugar, even if it's organic, added sugar is a no-no. And you keep taking that over and over again. You have to eat it. It's a drug that you have to eat, and it fries your brain. It fries your energy. You can no longer think for yourself. And you go to the doctor, and the doctor will do the same thing. That's why it goes back down to, ideally, everybody should have. I loved it when we had victory gardens. Remember victory gardens?
Of course.
Everybody had their own garden, and they learn how to grow stuff. Kids nowadays having the faint idea that things are actually grown in the soil. I gave a class once to kids, and I made a raised beds for them. I learned, okay, radishes pop up in days. If you don't give them days, they will. So I showed up one day, they pulled up everything from the ground and said, this is not growing well. I go, you just killed it. Oh my God, I didn't do that. And they do not know that food comes from the soil, not from the whole restaurant, not from the store. It's that bad. It's that bad. And now I myself, I didn't have a cell phone until maybe 25 years ago, something like that. So I never grew up with cell phones. Now you have kids almost 2 or 3 years, there they are with a cell phone. They're radiating this stuff, right? They're radiating this stuff. And so so the reason why we're here is to not educate, but to gather people of like energy together, because that's the only way we're going to save ourselves, is form a group of people, like-minded people that have the same energy, rather than taking energy. We all give to each other energy, and that's what we need. And we, as human beings, it's all about caring, sharing, the community. Exactly right. As human beings, we have the ability to. Sugar is one of the worst, right? Sugar is like. It's interesting too that in the earth, in the plant, in the world, Mother Nature said, okay, we're going to take sugar, because you have to make sugar for photosynthesis, and we're going to use sugar as a way to carry the trace minerals through your body. That's why the refractometer is really a measurement of sugar. It's a Brix level of sugar, and it also tells you the minerals, because the plants use the sugar transfer the minerals throughout the system, which is kind of cool. But we don't do that. Human beings don't use sugar to transfer the minerals. So we have evolved a little bit from just making sugar and using sugar, but we do use sugar in the sense that it's addictive, and the more sugar you get, the more you want.
The sugar that we used to get was from, the fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, you'd go out in your grandfather's or grandmother's garden and you'd eat those things and they'd be like, oh my God, these are good.
Right.
And so, I mean, healthy grown forms of sugar are important for the body, because like you said, they do carry nutrients. There are minerals and vitamins that come with those. So
exactly.
And let's face it, I mean, a lot of ways of nature's evolution strategies were to, hey, if we make this so sweet, the birds or the animals will eat them, and we can make more sites. We can make more. We're going to grow bigger, and next year will be even bigger, bushy, because all of those fruit sites were eaten from, which causes a split in the branch. So we have 2 more branches now that can grow.
And
So,
all the toxins are sour, all bitter.
say
Poison.
again?
All the toxins are sour and bitter in nature. Anything that's poison is bitter. You go, bleh. So you automatically go for the sugar rather than for the stuff that tastes really bad.
Well, in some cases, those bitters are medicines too, though. So
Yeah,
I mean,
right. Yeah, you just have to know. But generally speaking, if it's really bitter, you just leave it alone unless you know that it's bitter for a reason. Because lots of all the herbs are bitter to a certain extent. If you want to start eating them that way, making them, I know golden seal, one of my favorite herbs to use, very very bitter. But I really keyed into a long time in my use. I was as a being a fruitarian, but I also keyed into, you really have to know where it's coming from, because I would eat something, I'll go, I don't think so, even though it's organically grown and there's no chemicals used. There's still something missing in terms of mineral content. That's why I got into the refractometer in the first place, because when we go shopping, my mom would eat something and from the grocery store, and eventually the guy said, "Here's a piece, eat that." And so I started using a pendulum to try to figure out, because the pendulum will react to minerals. So if you learn how the pendulum reacts to minerals, you can say, okay, that's got a lot of minerals in it. Then I read about this scientist who was also a cook who invented the refractometer for cooking, for beer and wine and stuff like that, but it's also for cooking purposes. And I go, cool. I started using that. So it goes right back down to the minerals, how Mother Nature has made it for us to absorb our minerals. We can't eat the minerals directly. Try to do that sometimes. It doesn't work. Or you have to go through the process that Mother Nature has made for us. So I've learned that, and for me, when I work with diseases in trees, because that's what I specialize in, is diseases in trees. Helping, I tell people, I don't cure the plant of the disease. The disease is there. It's in the soil. It's like in our body. The disease is there. It's the conditions. When the conditions are right, that's when the disease will take over. That's the same with the ants. The ants are there and they're under control. But when the system is not working right, the ants go nuts. That's the first thing that tells me there's something wrong with the soil. It's the ants are going, yay, party! And the ant's job is to clean up the disease, to clean up the disease plants. That's their job. So when they attack a tree, because it's, and I truly believe, their eyes are like refractometer. They can look at something and go, that's a pretty color. That's what I like. Or no, I don't like that color. See, you know what I mean? So they see that. They see that through their eyes. And I really, sure they do. Us humans, some people do, but most people can't see a plant and go, oh, that's a good color that it's giving off, and therefore the minerals are there for me. So I've learned that doesn't matter. People say, well, don't you need to know the name of the disease? I go, no, because the law of cause and effect is very simple. The cause is the biology is not functioning right. There's something wrong with the biology. The effects would be the disease. The disease is going to change, right? It's going to change for different types of plants, different people, different parts of the world. All the diseases are going to change. Bugs have evolved genetically to tune into when a plant is diseased, or to tune into when the frequency or the color is right for them. They're not going to, I tell people it's like a TV, they can only focus, right? They can only, and when it comes in, yeah, that's the one I want. If it doesn't come into their channel, they're going to leave it alone. And so I don't need to know the diseases. People say, well, I have this disease, okay? And then what should I do? Well, work on your soil.
It's the same for every single disease.
Exactly. It's the very same thing. And the Mother Nature soil, the biology knows what to give them. And
well, more importantly, the tree knows what to ask for.
Right.
And no one sends down the exudates to grow the remedy that it needs to pull back up.
Exactly. And if it doesn't get what it wants, it's going to get.
Or if it can't get what it wants, it can't heal itself.
Exactly right. It's the same thing with us people. So that's why I like the mimicry. There's something new I should read.
Biomimicry.
Biomimicry, because that's exactly what I do in terms of healing myself and healing plants and stuff is this is how Mother Nature does it. I am not going to tell Mother Nature how to do this thing. I'm just going to make the environment, the condition right for this biology. And if you do that, and that's the problem too, because toxins are everywhere. How can you clean up this particular environment when your neighbor's got Roundup over there, Roundup chemicals everywhere, floats back and forth, and it's like you need to put a shield. Or I want to walk around with a big giant space suit, right? Hi there, how are you doing? I'm fine. What's going on, right? And you have to do that. So I really love the what do they call it when they had the biodome? The biodome, biosphere, right? I love it, that idea, because it separates all the other toxins from here. And I'm telling you what's going to happen down the road. The humans that survive are going to be in some kind of biosphere. They have their own earth, their own little environment in there. Who cares what goes on outside? Because this is what we want. And I'm hoping that cities can get it. We need one over the planet, right? But that's the big issue, is how do you get the soil healthy if there's toxins everywhere that's constantly killing things? People have more toxins in their garage than we've ever had in civilization ever before, not to mention Roundup or whatever other chemical. So and again, this is a product of money, a product of what money does.
It's all about money and greed, my friend.
It's all about, you watch TV, it says, you got weeds? Use this. It doesn't say you have weeds, because weeds are telling you there's a deficiency in a certain soil. And one of the things I gave a talk the other day was about use your phone. Look, you got a weed? And I don't like calling them weed, but if you understand what I'm talking about, take a picture of it, and the phone will tell you the name of it. And then you tell the series, could you tell me what this weed has minerals, what minerals it has? And the mineral it has is the mineral that is pulling up that's needed in the soil.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So you
all those, I call them indicator plants, and you should probably do the same, because they indicate what's going on in the soil.
Exactly. That's what Ken was telling me. I'm trying to remember that.
Medicinal plants for the soil.
Medicinal plants for the soil. Who is that guy?
Indicator plants is easier.
I like indicator plants because it indicates exactly what's going on.
Right.
But medicinal is also good because that's what they do. They pull up iron, for example, and that's what's missing in the soil. The surface of the soil is missing the iron, and there's not just so the not just iron. They will pull up a bunch of other stuff that tells you this is what's missing. And a lot of times they pull up, I call it exotic stuff, because exotic stuff, people think that I have a friend. I have a bunch of different, they were chemists, right? They'll say, oh, you need 10 pounds of this and 10 pounds of that and 5 pounds of this. Mix all together, put it in the soil. Maybe somebody should tell them that that's not going to do anything. The plants may get some of it because it's like you will get it anyway, one way or the other. It bypasses the system that Mother Nature has made with the root hairs, how it transfers the information, to the plant. And that's why nitrogen, urea is so bad, because the plant will take in that. I call it. It's really what happens is your body absorbs that nitrogen. Your plant goes like this, like, but if you were to really look at it, it will have very low Brix level. Basically means you're going to have to spray the heck out of it to keep it from getting disease or getting the pest. And it's not the pest that's doing wrong or the disease. That's their job. Oh, look, time to eat, right?
Well, more importantly, time to recycle this.
That's
It's
what I mean.
no longer healthy. We need to put it back into the ground and let another plant come up.
That's exactly what I mean when it says time to eat. That's what they do. They recycle it and they put it right back in again. And so I haven't really figured it out yet. I think I'm just going to say the heck with this. I'm going to retire because it's like I've been doing this for so long, and it's only really getting worse. I don't think it's getting any better. People's consciousnesses are just not there. I love to kiss the ground, folks, to do with the farming. I deal mainly with, as I told you, with homeowners. What's going on in their place? They very rarely have any cattle running around, right? When was the last time something died in your backyard and recycled, right? And
you're talking about Apricot Lane, the biggest little farm.
Well, that's one of them. The Apricot Lane is. I'll talk about the
kiss the ground people.
Yeah, kiss the ground. They talk about farming and techniques.
Oh,
It's really very, very good. But it doesn't really apply that much to your homeowners.
Oh, now I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. They just don't have ability to. They may have a dog pooping around. Maybe you're lucky they have some goats. But in reality, the whole system is not there. The whole system, and you have cities that literally nothing will live in that environment. The streets, the asphalt, the whole way the system is made, it's really absolutely based upon money. I mean, you can have I had this dream where I was a pilot and I wanted to land in the airport, but I couldn't find the airport because it was covered with trees. It was all green. Where's the place? Where's the airport? You know, that's the type of what do they call it? A cover? Some kind of tree cover, forest cover. There's a name for the cover that you have when a city has a certain number of trees.
So are you talking about the canopy?
Canopy is one of them. But it's the name of you need to have at least 60% tree coverage.
Zones? You're talking about the green zones?
Well, green zones, it's really like the city, the whole city should have a certain number of trees. So the trees growing will provide a cover for the
canopy for preventing the thermal heat up.
Not just thermal, but to control the water flow.
Purifies the air. It does all kinds of good things.
All kinds of good things. And now it's like maybe 10%. They're building. They're just it's this local city nearby. We're going to cut all these old trees down. There's no good. We're going to plant some new ones. So little ones. They're going to cut these giant trees down. They're going to plant some little ones. And it's a bad timing, right? It's a bad timing because we need all the trees in the world that we can't. I think also too, and there are other countries that are cutting trees down like crazy, and then we should pay them because if we pay farmers not to grow, we can pay these people not to cut the trees down. You
know what the problem is that the trees are so big that they require maintenance.
Yeah.
And the cities don't have money, so they cut them down and plant a little one, which has no maintenance. And then the shit show starts over again. But again, it's like you're missing you're cutting off the fucking arm instead of dealing with the fucking hangnail on the finger, right? It's not complex. It's just money. And no city, all the friggin' politicians want to increase their paychecks and take this from here and that from there and put this in the general fund, and then we can use it for this or my pet project over here. And then there's just no money left to take care of the infrastructure, whether that's trees, bridges, roads, friggin' rain gardens, catchments. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
There is more and more cities. It's just like a cake in a cup was talking about how buildings are becoming more green. They're growing things more on there. The cities themselves, like San Francisco, they have more greenery. Made available to people on the roofs, and that's happening, but not enough because you need more of that. Unfortunately, the cities, the way the cities are made now, they're not made environmentally sound. It's just not made environmentally. They do more and more damage and it has to do, of course, with money. But they don't realize that if they make it environmentally sound, it's going to reduce their cost overall. It's like arguing for the cost of toothpaste, but you're going to have a heck of a dentist bill.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's what's going on now. That's what's going on in a lot of cities around the world. They're building left and right, and they're not considering the future of how they can make an environmental green city. And they save water. They don't have the water problem. They wouldn't have any of the heat problems, air conditioning, more of this other stuff, the traffic. The whole thing. So it's not being smart at all. We're not really very smart.
Well, what kills me is that in a lot of these developments, they are required to have green spaces or open spaces.
Yeah.
But as soon as the developer is done making all his money, he gives it to the town or the city, and it's up to now the town or the city to maintain that green space, and they don't have money for it. So it's not like it's not happening. It's just not being taken care of after the friggin' process is done, which is the hard part.
Right.
And again, we can go down this rabbit hole for hours. And
We don't really need to do that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way too. I feel like I don't want to get carried away because I would start screaming and yelling, "What the hell are you people? What is going on here?" Right. And so I've learned that that's not really the way to go.
Sometimes it's important to identify the problem for two reasons. One, to stir energy, to get people upset. And I don't want to use the word pissed off, but if they're frustrated a little bit, maybe they'll do something about it. I have a good friend who's basically a shaman, and he says that, he's met so many other spiritual leaders who are like, well, that's just negative. You need to be more positive about that approach. And he's like, no, because you know what? Anger is a great motivator, where if you're just like, oh, everything's light and fluffy and positivity,
yeah.
you don't get anything done. So with a little bit of anger or frustration, that triggers things for you to actually do something instead of just letting it go.
And
so
that's the key a little bit.
Right. So again, if there's toxic positivity, just like there's toxic negativity. I think the whole key is to surf the gray line. Dip your toes in the dark side once in a while. Dip your toes in the light side and be a light being for some time. But if you stay on the gray, you can help heal both sides of the coin, so to say.
You do, and I try to tell people, you can't have a light without the dark.
You're right.
It doesn't work that way. You can't have the dark without the light. They're both equally as important. And so you have to be able to understand that and work with that. That's why, for me, it's very important that I try to. I used to insult people. You're a jerk. You really are a jerk. That doesn't solve anything at all. It doesn't. It just gets them angry. So what I do is I don't try to explain too much of what I do, because then they get insulted. But I do try to guide them on the right path. Right now, one of the things I'm really trying to do is get people to get the whole property filtration system for their property, at least have some clean water going into your property, clean water going into your body. They'd be surprised how 99% of the customers I run into are having the faintest idea that this is not clean water. And it's, why do I have an ant problem? Well, you need to start with the water you're sprinkling on a regular basis on your property. See, right, or the water you're drinking. Yeah, man. Who is this guy anyway?
It's the guy that's going to be talking with you on Wednesday about biomimicry, because that's supposed to be our topic for Wednesday night, Andy.
Yeah.
And by the way, I was trying to slow it down because we are at the 2-hour mark. And
was it in 2 hours?
Yeah, that's what happens, Andy. We get talking and fucking time is
I was just getting started.
Poof, gone the time.
I was just getting started. But I really, I am grateful to be here, because as you can see that once I take off, there's nothing stopping me. And I know I don't insult anybody here. There's nobody here to insult. All you people are absolutely beautiful people. And that's why we share together. We're a group here. I've given talks in front of people. They look at me like, what are you talking about? As they sip on their whiskey or they drink this toxic stuff. Here, eat this. And so I have to be around people like mine. Otherwise, I will literally go nuts, because I get the feeling, for the longest time until I met Leighton, I was the only guy doing this. What the hell's wrong with other people? And Leighton goes, oh yeah, right, another fellow crusader. Yeah. And now I've turned on to a bunch of other fellows, because Ken here, it's amazing. Silly Lily, all these people they've been hiding. I guess they're coming out now, right? Hillbilly Herb. And that's what's all about.
Okay, with that, Andy, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to let you guys know that supposedly Josh Sonnenberg, who we've had on, is going to be back to give us an update next week. I'll have confirmation on that here in a little while. But Andy and I are, of course, talking about biomimicry on Wednesday. And with that, before Andy gets going again, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to end the live stream, guys. So say peace out.
Thanks, Ken, for all the work. And Andy, thanks for coming on today and sharing.
I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye now.